Hello everyone, Ashna is here. Welcome to the 90th session of presentation, ICSE Class 10, Paper 2, Literature in English. In today's session, let us continue the play The Merchant of Venice, Act 4 and 5 by William Shakespeare. Before we deal with today's session, let us revise the previous session, that is Act 3. Act 3, Scene 1 takes place in Venice and the characters Salarino, Salanio, Shylock and Tubal. So this scene moves the action to the point of crisis and Shylock openly talks of revenge. So the use of prose indicates the holding up of romance for some time. Act 3, Scene 2 takes place in Belmont. Portia, Bassanio, Nerissa and Gratiano are the characters we find in this particular scene. This is a scene where three stories mingle. That is the Bond story, the casket story and the Lorenzo Jessica episode. So Bassanio chooses the right casket. Gratiano and Nerissa want to marry. Lorenzo and Jessica arrive. The news of Antonio's bad luck comes and overshadows the happy events. So this scene is significant for character interest. So it sheds light on the characters of both Bassanio and Portia. Act 3, Scene 3 takes place in Venice and characters Shylock, Antonio and Salarino. And the scene is another step in the direction of the trial scene. Antonio is in Shylock's grip. And here we can see the cruel nature of Shylock. And Act 3, Scene 4 takes place in Belmont and characters Lorenzo, Portia and Nerissa. And this particular scene reveals Portia's plan to appear as a judge to defend Antonio. So it reveals Portia's shrewdness as well as generosity. So Portia's courage astonishes Lorenzo. Next, Act 3, Scene 5 takes place in Belmont and characters Lancelot, Jessica and Lorenzo. This scene is essential to indicate the passage of time to enable Portia to reach Venice. So it gives us Jessica's estimate of Portia. And next comes Act 4, Scene 1. Act 4, Scene 1, a court of justice, that is in Venice. So the particular scene takes place in Venice and characters we find here the Duke, Shylock, Antonio, Bassanio, Portia, Nerissa, Gratiano. Now let's commence. The Duke extends his sympathy to Antonio, who is exposed to great danger. So the man who he has to answer in court says he has no pity in him. Antonio expresses his gratitude to the Duke for the trouble he has taken to persuade Shylock to give up his demand. But since Shylock is not ready to relent, he is prepared to meet his fate. The Duke summons Shylock to the court. When Shylock appears, the Duke makes another appeal to him. He says that he and many others believe that Shylock is persisting in his plea only to withdraw it in the end. He hopes that Shylock will not only let off the penalty but also reduce the amount of the original loan in view of Antonio's numerous losses. Shylock tells the Duke in reply that he is under oath to have only the penalty specified in the bond. The Duke, he says, can reject his claim, but it will put a question mark on the justice of the state. If you ask me why I insist on having a pound of Antonio's flesh, my reply is that it is my pleasure, he adds. Shylock adds, he cannot give any other reason than this. Bassanio tells Shylock that this is the most inhuman way to deal with his opponent. A man cannot destroy the thing that he does not like. At this, Shylock asks if a man hates those things which he cannot destroy, or if a man would allow himself to be bitten twice by the same serpent. After hearing all this, Antonio tells Bassanio not to argue with this man because he cannot change him. He adds that as it is useless to ask the tide not to rise so high, similarly, it is useless to ask Shylock to soften his stand. So Antonio requests the court to give its verdict as early as possible. At this moment, Bassanio offers Shylock 6,000 ducats instead of 3,000 ducats. But Shylock refuses the offer and says that even if he is offered 36,000 ducats, he will refuse it and demand a pound of flesh from Antonio's breast as mentioned in the bond. The Duke intervenes and says that if Shylock does not show any mercy to Antonio, he too cannot expect any mercy from anybody. Shylock remarks that he does not need anyone's mercy because he has committed no crime. He declares that if the Christians can regard the slaves as their property because they have purchased them, he too can regard the body of Antonio as his own because he has paid 3,000 ducats for it. The Duke says that he has invited Dr. Bellario, a renowned scholar on the law from Padua, to deliver the judgment in this case. At this moment, Salarino informs the Duke that a messenger from Dr. Bellario is standing outside with letters. Then Nerissa, dressed as a lawyer's clerk, enters the court and delivers a letter to the Duke. Gratiano sees Shylock sharpening his knife and remarks that his knife is sharper than the executioner's axe and that no one can make him show mercy to Antonio. He quotes the doctrine of Pythagoras that says that the soul of an animal can enter a human body. He says that the soul of a owl that was hanged for killing lambs was entered the body of Shylock. Shylock remarks that whatever he says, nothing can change his mind. The Duke then directs Nerissa to read Dr. Bellario's letter in the open court. Dr. Bellario writes in the letter that he has fallen ill and is unable to attend the court, and that he is sending a young lawyer in his place to listen to the case and give his verdict. He informs the Duke that though the lawyer is young in age, he is mature in intellect. He further adds that he has given his opinion to the young lawyer with regard to the case and hopes that it will help him to give the correct verdict. After the letter is read, Portia, dressed as a lawyer, enters the court. Antonio and Shylock are asked to appear before her. Portia tells Shylock that though he has brought a strange case in the court, the case is in accordance with the laws of Venice. Then she tells Antonio that as per the suit filed against him, his life is in danger. Portia appeals to Shylock for mercy. Shylock asserts why he should show mercy to Antonio. Thereupon, Portia delivers a fine speech on mercy and says, "The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Upon the place beneath it is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes." Once again, Portia tells Shylock that the quality of mercy is not strained. That is, as we expect God to be merciful to us, it is necessary for us to be merciful to our fellow human beings. If we cannot be merciful, how can we expect God to forgive our sins and be merciful? So that Portia politely tells Shylock that the quality of mercy is not shown under compulsion. Mercy flows spontaneously in human hearts. It is an attribute of God's. We all pray to God for mercy, and this very fact teaches us all to perform acts of mercy. But the arguments of Portia fail to move the heart of Shylock. So, however, Portia asks Shylock to accept the offer of money from Bassanio, but Shylock tells Portia that he has taken an oath to charge the penalty as mentioned in the bond. Portia says that he is entitled to cut a pound of flesh from Antonio's breast according to the law, and Shylock feels happy and triumphant. He shouts, Daniel has come to judgment. Antonio is unhappy over the delay of the verdict and pleads to the court to give his verdict at once. Portia then directs Antonio to lay bare his chest and get ready for a pound of flesh to be cut from his chest. At the same time, she asks Shylock if he has got a balance to measure the flesh. She also directs Shylock to get some surgeon lest Antonio should bleed to death. Antonio asks Bassanio to tell his wife how he has sacrificed his life for the sake of his friend. Bassanio says that though he loves his wife more dearly than his life, he will lose his life and his wife and the whole world to save the life of his friend. Portia does not like the remarks made by Bassanio. Gratiano wishes his wife to be dead so that she could go to heaven and appeal to the gods to change the adamant attitude of Shylock. Nerissa too dislikes Gratiano's remarks. Shylock says to himself that Christian husbands have no feelings for their wives. He would like a murderer like Barabbas to marry his daughter instead of a Christian. When Shylock is about to apply his knife to cut out the flesh from Antonio's body, Portia asks him to wait for a moment. She tells him that when he cuts the flesh, not a single drop of blood should be shed because it is nowhere mentioned in the bond. Otherwise, his life will be at the mercy of the Duke. At this moment, Gratiano shouts in a fit of joy, O upright judge, mark Jew, O learned judge! Portia then adds that he must have nothing but justice. And so, if he cuts the flesh more or less than a pound, all his property would be confiscated by the state. Shylock finds himself in a tight corner and says, I take this offer, then pay the bond thrice and let the Christian go. Bassanio says, here is the money. But Portia asks Bassanio to stop and remarks that the Jew must have full justice. He will have nothing but a pound of flesh, as mentioned in the bond. She further says that according to the laws of Venice, if any alien tries to take the life of a Venetian, his life will be at the mercy of the Duke. Moreover, half of his property will be given to the Venetian whose life the alien wanted to take. Gratiano remarks that after the government confiscates Shylock's property, he will be left with nothing to purchase a rope for hanging himself, and therefore he has to be hanged at the expense of the government. The Duke pardons the life sentence upon Shylock. Shylock accepts the compromise proposed by Antonio. Shylock will live and have the use of half of his property, which he will leave to Lorenzo and Jessica in his will. Half of his property will be held in trust by Antonio for the benefit of Lorenzo and Jessica. Shylock will become a Christian. Portia then asks Nerissa to prepare a title deed of gift in favor of Jessica and Lorenzo and get it signed by Shylock. Shylock is completely defeated and shattered. He walks out of the court saying that he is not well. He tells the court to send the deed after him and he will sign it. When the court is dispersed, the Duke asks Antonio to reward the young lawyer for his brilliant defense and valuable service. Bassanio at once offers 3,000 ducats to Portia, but she refuses to accept the money. She says that she has not come to the court to make money. She feels satisfied and happy that she has been able to save the life of Antonio. Bassanio still presses Portia to accept it as a token of remembrance. Portia accepts the pair of gloves from Antonio and asks for Bassanio's ring. Bassanio does not want to part with this ring, so he tells Portia that he will buy her the costliest ring, but Portia insists on having the ring that he wears in his finger. Bassanio tells her that this ring has been presented to him by his wife with a pledge that he will never part with it. Portia replies that there are people in the world who make generous promises but rarely honor them. Portia then leaves the court. Antonio advises Bassanio to send the ring after Portia. Bassanio agrees and asks Gratiano to run and overtake her and present her this ring and request her to have dinner with them. So students, here we have winded up Act 4, Scene 1. Now Act 4, Scene 2 takes place in Venice and characters Portia, Nerissa and Gratiano. Portia asks Nerissa to go and get the signature of Shylock on the deed of gift. She also tells her that they should reach Belmont earlier than their husbands. In the meantime, Gratiano overtakes Portia and hands over Bassanio's ring to her. Portia accepts the ring from Gratiano and asks him to show Shylock's house to Nerissa. Nerissa tells Portia that she will also try to persuade her husband to give her his ring, which she has given him. This will provide them an opportunity to quarrel with their husbands on the ground that they have given their rings to two young women. They will, of course, deny the charge, but they will assert that they are concealing the truth. Here we have winded up Act 4 and Scene 2. Now Act 5, Scene 1, which takes place in Belmont. And the characters we find here, Lorenzo, Jessica, Portia, Nerissa, Bassanio, Antonio and Gratiano. Lorenzo and Jessica are seen sitting in Portia's garden in Belmont. It is a moonlit night and the lovers indulge in a sort of game by narrating the stories of lovers. Lorenzo refers to Troilus, who came out on such a night to meet his beloved Cressida. Jessica refers to Thisbe, who on such a night ran away in terror at the sight of a lion. Lorenzo talks of another lover, Dido, while Jessica talks of Medea and her lover and narrates how she resorted to youth, her old father-in-law, Aeson. Lorenzo tells how on such a night Jessica eloped with her lover. Jessica, in jest, remarks that he took many false pledges of love for her. Lorenzo says that she has falsely accused him, but he forgives her. At that time, Stefano comes to inform them that his mistress Portia will arrive here before daybreak. She is at present visiting holy places where she prays for happiness in her married life. When Stefano wants to know if Bassanio has arrived, Lancelot informs him that he has not arrived yet, but is likely to arrive soon. Lorenzo asks Stefano to instruct the musicians to play music in order to accord a warm welcome to Portia. Lorenzo points out to Jessica the quietness of night. He admires the millions of beautiful stars that are revolving in their own orbits and producing wonderful music. Jessica says that she also feels enchanted by music. Lorenzo further remarks that one who does not love music is a dangerous person. He is capable of committing serious crimes. So Portia and Nerissa enter the house. Portia appreciates the candlelight that is coming out of the hall. She remarks that just as a good deed spreads its fragrance all around, similarly, the candle spreads its light far into the darkness of the night. As the moon becomes visible in the absence of the sun, similarly, the king's deputy becomes prominent in the absence of the king. Then Portia talks of the sweetness of music. Portia learns from Lorenzo that Bassanio has not arrived yet. She asks Nerissa to tell the servant not to tell Bassanio that they have been absent from the home. Then Bassanio, Antonio, and Gratiano arrive. Bassanio admires the beauty of Portia and says that he is feeling as if it were morning because of the presence of shining Portia. Bassanio introduces Antonio to Portia. Portia tells Bassanio that he should be grateful to his friend Antonio, who helped him at the risk of his life. Nerissa starts quarreling with Gratiano, for she does not find her ring on his finger. She alleges that he must have given it to some young woman. Gratiano tells her that he had to give it to the lawyer's clerk. Portia tells Gratiano that he should not have parted with the ring. She remarks that Bassanio would never have done it. When Portia asks Bassanio about her ring, Bassanio replies that he too had to present it to the lawyer who had argued brilliantly to save the life of Antonio. He had initially refused to part with his ring, but then, on the advice of Antonio, he had given it to the lawyer. But Portia refuses to believe the words of Bassanio. Like Nerissa, she too says that he must have given it to some other young woman. When Portia and Bassanio, Nerissa and Gratiano begin to quarrel, Antonio intervenes and says that he is the cause of these quarrels. But Portia tells him that he should not feel upset about all this and he is welcome to her house. Bassanio asks for forgiveness from Portia and assures her that he will never commit such a mistake again. When Antonio stands surety for Bassanio, Portia at once gives a ring to Antonio and asks him to advise Bassanio not to part with this ring. Bassanio is pleasantly surprised to find that it is the same ring that he had given to the lawyer. Portia says that she had got this ring from the same lawyer. Nerissa too produces another ring and tells Gratiano that she had got it from the lawyer's clerk. Portia then explains everything to them. She says that she appeared as a lawyer and Nerissa appeared as a clerk. She tells them that she and Nerissa have just arrived from Venice. Portia then gives a letter to Antonio which carries good news. It says that all his missing ships have reached the harbor and there has been no loss. Nerissa at the same time gives the deed of gift of Shylock's property to Jessica and Lorenzo. Gratiano says that he will always try to guard his ring all his life. So students, here we have winded up Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Thank you, students.